All right, we're going to pull some trading wisdom today from a place you would probably never expect, the ancient book of Deuteronomy. Now I know, it sounds a little strange, but just stick with me here. It offers a really powerful framework for breaking through the exact struggles that keep most traders feeling stuck.
So let me just start with a question for you. What do you think is the single greatest danger to your trading account? Seriously, just take a second. What comes to mind?
You'd probably think it's a string of big losses, right? But for most traders, it's not. It's the complete opposite. It's that amazing account-growing, feel-good winning streak. And understanding why that is the real danger, well, that's the key to everything we're about to unpack. To really get that, we first have to talk about a place. A place I'm guessing a lot of us know all too well. It's a state of being perpetually stuck that we can call the trader's wilderness. Does any of this sound familiar? You know, jumping from one hot system to the next, taking that angry revenge trade right after a loss, or just making the same frustrating mistakes for years on end. See, being lost in this wilderness isn't about a lack of knowledge. You probably know exactly what you should be doing. The real problem is that gap between what you know and what you actually do. So the big question is, how do you get out of that wilderness? And this is where our, let's call it unusual, source material comes into play. We're looking at Deuteronomy as a kind of final market sermon, a roadmap for making that critical transition from struggling to successful. In the story, Moses is giving his last big speech to a whole generation of people who are right on the verge of either massive success or just repeating all the failures of the past. I mean, wow, what a perfect metaphor for a trader, right? You're at that critical point in your journey. You've survived, you've learned, and you're standing right at the edge of a breakthrough.
Okay, so the very first key to making that crossover is to look back. And I don't mean just fondly remembering the good days. I mean looking back with unflinching, brutal honesty. It's all about conducting a complete and total review of your past.
What's so fascinating here is that Moses doesn't start with some big, raw motivational speech. Nope. He starts with a detailed 40-year performance review. He goes over everything: the wins, the failures, the downright ugly moments. He knew you simply can't build a successful future if you're not willing to be honest about your past.
So here's how you can do this for yourself. First, pull up your entire trading history, not just the last few weeks. The bad habits that are killing you today were probably there years ago. Second, your job is to find the core patterns that seem to follow you around, no matter what system you're using. And third, and this is huge, you have to approach it honestly. Look at the failures without shame, and look at the victories without pride. Just see the data for what it is.
Okay, so once you've done that honest review, it's time for key number 2. And this is all about having absolute, undivided focus as you move forward.
The source brings up this Hebrew concept called Shema. It basically means to hear something and to do it become one single, unified action. For us traders, the Shema problem is that gap we keep talking about, knowing the rule but then failing to actually click the mouse. That hesitation, that breakdown between knowledge and action is the root of almost all trading failure.
And this lays out the two paths perfectly, doesn't it? You can go down the road of seeking more and more knowledge, more indicators, more books, more videos, which, let's be honest, usually just leads to analysis paralysis and more sophisticated excuses. Or you can choose the other path. Focus on better execution of what you already know. That is the only thing that actually produces better results.
So, when it all comes down to it, the crucial point, the whole idea, can be boiled down to this one single number.
Look, you just can't be half committed to 3 different strategies and expect to master any of them. It doesn't work. The Shema principle demands total commitment. So, the challenge is this. Pick one system, just one, the one you believe in the most, and give it everything you've got for the next 90 days. No distractions.
And that brings us to our third and final key. So you've reviewed your past, you've committed to one system, now you have to protect that system's rules. And here's the kicker. You have to protect them most when things are going great.
This is what we call the prosperity trap. And this chart says it all, doesn't it? During a drawdown, when we're losing, our discipline is sky high. We're humble, we're scared, we follow every single rule. But what happens during that big winning streak? Look at that. Discipline just falls off a cliff. We get cocky and we start to bend the rules.
And here's the psychology of why that happens. When you're on a roll, it is so easy to start thinking, man, I'm good at this. It's my skill, my genius that produced these results. And the very moment your rules start to feel optional, that's it. you've stepped right into the trap.
So what's the antidote? The source points to something called the King's Law. Think about this. Even the king, the most powerful person in the land, was commanded to physically write out the rules in his own handwriting and read them every single day. Why? To keep him humble, to keep his heart from getting lifted up, and to keep him grounded in the very system that brought him success in the first place.
Here is a super practical way to apply that right now. Create a system change protocol. No more emotional tinkering. Rule 1. You take a significant loss, you are forbidden from touching your system for at least 48 hours, period. Rule 2. You have an idea for a change? Great, write it down. But Rule 3. You don't even look at that proposal until you've executed at least 50 more trades. This protects your system from your emotions.
And all of this, everything we've talked about, it brings us to a really powerful conclusion. Because when you strip it all away, every decision you make at the charts, it boils down to a simple binary choice.
You know, there's no such thing as a mostly disciplined trader. There is no comfortable middle ground. Every single time you take a trade, you're casting a vote. It's a vote for the disciplined, focused trader you want to be, or it's a vote for the undisciplined one who stays wandering in the wilderness. And believe me, those votes add up.
The source text frames it this way, and it's so powerful. See, I'm setting before you today a blessing and a curse. It's that stark. It's that black and white. Obey the system, follow the rules, and you get the blessing, the results. Turn away from it, and you get the curse, the consequences. It really is that simple.
So, let's tie this all together into a new framework. First, remember the journey with total honesty. Second, commit to one system, undivided, no cheating on it. Third, protect the rules, especially when you're winning. And finally, never forget that every single execution is the final choice. It's a vote for your future self.
This framework really does give you the keys to finally cross over from that wilderness into consistent, disciplined execution. So the only question left for you is this. With your very next trade, which path, which trader are you going to choose?